Have you ever wanted a point and shoot camera that prevents you from taking a full frame shot? Maybe it doesn't take a wide range of film ISOs. Perhaps it has such little features, you'd be thinking, why the hell would I shoot with it? Well, that's the Minolta Ps. I love it. I think it's a great camera, and I'm gonna tell you why. So this camera is a type of camera that is 100% consumer level. It was not meant to blow anyone away. It came out in the early 90s, and it has a panoramic viewfinder and aspect ratio. The idea is that you take really nice landscape shots, really easy group photos because it's so wide, and even in the manual, it says it's perfect for taking a picture of a tall building like the Eiffel Tower. The reason I picked one up was mainly because I like the panoramic crop. I find it to be really interesting. I do it pretty often with my photos. Well, I wouldn't say often, that's a stretch. I think it looks cinematic, and I just like it. So when I saw this camera, I was like, okay, that's not a deal breaker for me. I don't mind that it's strictly panoramic. I can rock with that. The camera itself, its simplicity is really my favorite part. There's nothing to mess with. You slide this cover open and you're ready to shoot. It's just a shutter button. It's got a flash cancel because the flash is automatic, and it has a timer, self-timer. However, I don't know if you can cancel the self-timer. I haven't tried it. The build is not as cheap as I anticipated, but it does scratch very easily. At least the shiny finish does. But again, these are not expensive cameras. They all go for like less than $100 bucks. I think I got mine for 40 or 50. For the price, the lens is relatively sharp. Speaking of the lens, it's a 24mm f4.5 lens, which is not that great in low light, but it does have a flash that is automatic. And like I said, you can cancel the flash if you want to, but you have to hold that button, which is super annoying. And I usually end up just letting the flash do its thing. It is what it is. The DX code reading is the area that had me concerned as to whether or not I would use this camera after I did an initial test roll. But after giving it some thought, I definitely will, because the DX coding is limited to 100 and 400 in terms of exposure. But according to the manual, it could read other DX codes. It just won't expose for them, which is a little pretentious in my opinion, but it is what it is. You deal with the cards you dealt. You deal with whatever. What does that mean? That means that if it detects a DX code that is less than 400 ISO, it will default to 100, which means it's going to overexpose any film between 100 and less than 400. If it detects a film that is faster than 400, let's say Portra 800, Cinesto 800T, it will actually expose it at 400. I think it's weird that it can read that code and know that it's higher and just choose to do the 400. But again, this is a cheap camera, and honestly, throw Kodak Ultramax, XP2. There's so many 400 speed films you could throw into this camera. 400 speed films is probably the most versatile anyway. And given all the limitations, your best bet would be to throw in a 400 speed film. Let's get into the actual experience shooting the camera. So because of the size, like I said, it is super easy to take with you. You almost forget that it's there, like it's that light, and it's effortless to pull out. You do have to get used to that crop, because obviously if you're just trying to run and gun, shoot a nice shot of something, you have to remember that it's going to crop that image. Otherwise you might think that you're gonna get like a nice wide shot of something and you're gonna miss something. So you do have to pay attention to that, but you get used to that pretty quickly. The other thing you have to worry about is, because of its 24mm lens, you can eventually start to see your finger creep into the frame. I did that a few times in my first roll with it, and I don't think it's that big of a problem. I think it's one of those things like, I know now that that can happen, and you just adjust your grip accordingly. Here are a few images that I've taken with this camera. Let me know what you think. Are you interested in picking one up? Is there a camera this reminds you of? Because I'm always looking for interesting point and shoot cameras because I think they're fun to use. Yeah, my name's Roberto. This is Berto's Film Bag, and thanks for watching. Enjoy.